Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
Welcome to another episode of the Talk and Power podcast, episode 87. And I'm joined with my co-hosts, Simon Gonzo Travellini and Todd Brinkworth. Welcome, guys. How are we?
G'day, Nick.
Yeah, hey, Nick. Pretty good.
That's good. Good to hear. Hey, guys. Lots happening. We've got a special guest coming on tonight. We've got David Smith about to join us. He's in the waiting room, so we'll get on to him shortly. He's going to give us an update on all things Targa, which I've been really looking forward to following up on. But yeah, look, I mean, lots of news today. It's Monday, the 8th of June, as we record this. It's the evening of Monday, the 8th of June. And look, there's been some pretty serious news that's gripping the world right now. And I think we need to touch on it right now. This is very, don't know how to bring this news, but Renee Gracie, I can confirm, has left a career in V8 supercars and has joined the adult film industry. And yeah, I don't know how, this news broke. I thought this was going to be funnier, to be honest. It's actually not funny, is it?
I've got to tell you, I think that the big question on everyone's mind is, will she be teaming up with Simone? And I don't know about you guys, but do you think that the supercars missed out on an opportunity here? Because, I mean, if she was still competing, can you imagine what the supercar calendar would look like?
Oh, yeah. Especially the Gold Coast round. The Gold Coast round would go bananas.
Guys,
I meant the actual calendar you hang on the wall, but anyway.
Oh, well, that's true. But hey.
Listen, before we get going,
I just need
to... I need to apologise regarding the Whoop-Ass Wednesdays. I wasn't aware that they'd changed the format so that the burnouts are at the end of the night rather than in the middle of the night. Apparently, it's been like that for a couple of years. I was informed by Ray Treasure just recently. Now, I just want to add that it was an honest mistake because I haven't raced there since we took the Camry down there, even though I'd really like to be involved with the red versus blue. But unfortunately, every time we put a car together for the red versus blue, like the XY and the BA, they change the rules. So big shout out to the Ray and the guys at the Motorplex. Apologise for that mistake.
In all seriousness, yeah, look, I mean, Ray reached out and said that what we said in that last episode wasn't strictly true. So we sincerely apologise for that. And big shout out to Ray. We are keeping in constant dialogue with Ray at the moment. And that brings me to my next news. I actually spoke with someone at Venues West today, Monday, the 8th of June, and there is a meeting tomorrow with Venues West and the Sports Minister, the Honourable Mick Murray. And
fingers crossed.
We're reasonably confident we're going to have some good news out of that meeting, and all the things that we may have alluded to that we weren't sure what was happening. To be fair to us, no one had indicated or given us any direction as to a reopening date. There may not be a reopening date still as of this meeting, but we believe the news out of the meeting will be a lot more positive than what we've previously heard. So fingers crossed.
So do you want to start some rumours or?
No, we better.
We're going to keep it to ourselves, or
we'll just keep it to ourselves for now. Look, At the end of the day, look, Ray and I, we made a collective agreement that we would keep in constant dialogue. Mind you, that information didn't come from Ray. It came from someone in Venues West today. I had a phone call to follow up because I've been keeping in contact with Venues West and the sports, the Honourable Mick Murray's office as well. So we're just trying to keep on top of this, and it looks like the news will be quite positive. And we're fingers crossed that we get that in the next few days.
And additionally, I did hear some good news from someone else on the weekend, but again, I can't say much until it's official. So we'll leave it there.
it's interesting. People tell us stuff and they say you can't say anything to anyone. So
Yeah, I got a bit of a bollocking from someone over the weekend for saying something as well. So I'm apologising to them, saying sorry. We'll wait and see.
Whose
what did
name
you say, Bert?
you can't say.
Yeah, no, I can't. I got bollocking. That's all.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right, it's time
do.
for a break, gents.
It is time for a break. Before we go to a break, I just want to announce we are doing a special giveaway. To go in the running for the giveaway, you need to subscribe to the podcast, and you can do that on our website. Head to our website, scroll down, and you'll see subscribe here, and you just put your name and email address there. And each week we'll be adding to the prize pool. So in a few weeks' time, we'll make an announcement, and I can disclose some of the prizes. So we got some Ford tumblers, short tumblers, right? A genuine Talk and Power shirt.
oh,
Genuine Talk and Power shirt there.
I'm off to enter.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
We've got this LED torch as well. Each week, each podcast will be adding to the prize pool. So we'll be adding.
Is that a mag light? Is that a genuine mag light?
No, it's not genuine. No, it's genuine selector, Sylvan selector.
Selector. Is it heavy enough that you can hit someone with it?
Not really. No, I wouldn't. No, not really. But
it's absolutely useless to tow truck drivers. Then don't bother entering. But I'll organise some steel pipe or something for the next one. All right.
So it will. That's just the start. But yeah, subscribe. Those that have already subscribed to us on our mailing list, you're already in the running. So if you get an email, our weekly email and our monthly newsletter, no need to enter. You're already in the running. But if you're not, you're a listener, head to our website, subscribe, give us your email address. You are in the running. All right. And I just wanted to touch base also shout out to Shannon's as well. In regards, we did an interview with James McDonald. They will be announcing another 2 events to the 4 events they already announced last week. So as soon as we get the go ahead on that, we'll catch up with James McDonald once again, and we'll touch base there. That is the Shannon's Motorsport Australia Championship. Check that out. All things are really happening over there at the moment. Okay, on that note, yes, you're right. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with David Smith, Targa West, right after this. Okay, welcome back to the Talk and Power podcast. We've got with us a special guest, David Smith from Targa West. David, thanks for joining us once again. How are you?
Mate, I'm fantastic.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Nothing like easing of COVID restrictions to improve one's morale when it comes to events.
I can imagine. So I guess I'm assuming with the easing of restrictions, you got some news or some information to tell us in regards to Targa West?
Oh, look, we'll never say that, obviously with COVID, you've got to keep on your toes. As Billy Connolly said, the rules are going to change, so stay awake. But certainly since the last round of restrictions have eased, we've got very good news from Shire of Mandurah. They had a meeting last week and they're quite happy for us to proceed on the basis of our option 2, which was pretty much a full competitive event. The only difference is that instead of having sort of the show and shine / street party after the event on the Saturday night, they're quite rightfully sort of preferring not to run that and suggesting that we don't, just purely because it will drag people out, and sort of in the current environment it's probably not the best. But certainly Targa Southwest is go. Looking forward to getting back out there and starting to talk to people about events.
Yeah, no, most certainly.
If I could ask, what is the crowd number restrictions, or what do they expect the crowd number restrictions to be when we get to that date?
Look, I honestly don't know. We're going ahead on the basis that we believe that our event can comply to the current 100-300 rule. The difficulty is that, we're sort of seeking some guidance around the per venue side of things. So sporting organisations or sporting fields, I guess, that have got distinct playing areas can actually apply to go above that 300 limit if they can limit each area to 100. I guess where we sort of struggle is that we might have a 20k stage, what's the 300 person limit on that? So we're sort of basing it on the fact that if we've got, say, 40 competitors, that's 80 crew. We'll limit it to 2 service crew each. There's 160, 100 odd officials. We're going to be under the 300, I'd suggest, for most of the event, even if everyone was in a service park at the same time. So I think there'll be another easing of restrictions between now and then, and touch wood, it'll be 500, in which case we won't have an issue.
Yep. Excellent.
That is excellent news, Dave. So thanks for sharing that with us. In terms of Targa West, which has got the October date, are we still looking formidable in that end of, I think it was the 22nd of October, wasn't it?
Yeah, 22nd to the 25th of October. Look, again, I think as long as some protests that are going on recently don't affect a second wave, then I think we're still looking good for that. Part of the thing we're sort of trying to get our heads around, and then there's an events organisation an events body, I guess, it's looking into it as well, is how does that 300 limit work on somewhere like Langley Park? At the moment, it's incumbent on event organisers to actually obtain everyone's mobile and everyone's name.
Yep.
It will cost us, we've done some sums, it will cost us roughly $20,000 in fencing to close off Langley Park, which is just impractical. The event just wouldn't proceed on that basis. However, if we can funnel it down to sort of 3 or 4 entries and man each entry, then it becomes feasible. And then it's a matter of, I guess, under the current guidelines, actually cordoning off the park into chunks and sort of ensuring that there's not that many people in each chunk. So the competitive side of it, not so worried. It's all the stuff that involves spectators or people coming to the event. So, Ellenbrook, there was between 5,000 and 7,000 people there last year. To manage that and keep that under control is going to prove problematic. Langley Park, again, Malaga. So those main spectator points, we just have to look at how, I guess, that works heading into October. Touch wood won't be an issue, and we'll be sort of back to almost normal, as normal as we can be until there's a vaccine, I guess. But interestingly, Langley Park, we had a meeting with the All Ford Day, and they're actually going to be tacking on to the Show and Shine on Langley Park. So they're actually tacking on beside the celebration of motorsport and Shannon's Classics on the river, or Classics on the Swan, as we say. So that's exciting. If they get 400 to 500 cars there, that'll actually be absolutely brilliant, and a real sort of feather in both of our caps to make that happen.
You know what that means? Yeah. You know what that means?
No
that
Toyota
means
Camrys. That's what it means.
It means that we can finally bring the BA to one of your events.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's a Ford. Do you think it'll actually get there, though?
Yeah. It'll get there.
What, under its own steam?
Well,
you've heard the term.
It doesn't run on steam; it runs on methanol. But
you've heard the term, hostile vehicle mitigation. So what we're looking at is we're probably going to put the trailers and cars around the edges of Langley Park to act as a barrier to protect the people inside. So the BA, mate, not a problem. We'll find somewhere special for
it. You know what else it means, Simon, is that also the XY as well. Can we bring that too?
Yes. Well, we've got a date to work for now.
Yep.
Well, there'll actually be a couple of XYs in Targa West. I believe Paul Pernangelli's going to bring out the black XY, and Red Eye Roger, is going to bring his out as well. So the white one, he's been doing a bit of work since it sort of had an upside down moment over east. And I saw the car the other week, and it's looking fantastic. So there'll definitely be 2 XYs floating around.
Both beautiful cars.
On the Targa Southwest side of things, one of the things that I know we've talked about it briefly before, we've turned it into a single day event rather than have it over the 2 days. And that's primarily because we feel that by that stage, there'll be a number of officials and certainly competitors that would have used all of their holiday pay to sort of try and keep ahead of COVID. So we're trying to turn it into an event where they can travel down late Friday night and return home either Saturday night or Sunday. And also just to sort of, I guess, try and limit the amount of people in town as much as it's sort of counterintuitive, because obviously Shire and Manjimup are quite keen for us to go down there. We just feel that it's just probably a little bit too early to sort of start really getting back to normal and potentially spreading things around that we don't want in the community down there. So we've limited it to 1 day. I guess that's had the advantage that we've revisited the costs of the event and saving a bit of money because of one less day for Motorsport Australia licence fees and saving on dinner and bits and pieces. It basically means that there's $170 saving on this year's event compared to what we were planning, which still makes it basically $100 less than last year. So I guess it's not a huge difference, but $170 in the competitors' pockets. I'm sure they'd be happier with that.
Almost, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and I think we
100%.
spoke about that when we caught up with Ross and yourself a few weeks ago. I think that was the discussion. As an industry, I guess we've all got to be mindful of costs that are incurred on the competitor and trying to keep those costs down as best as possible during this year and next. I really think for the next 3 years, really, we have to be mindful of costs incurred on competitors, spectators, and I guess the wider, and even for yourselves as well, as you said there before, the $20,000 offence to cordon off Langley Park, that's really not feasible for your event. So, yeah, we all need to be mindful of that, don't we?
I think it's probably one of the first times I've heard of entry fees going down in my 30-year history of racing.
Look, I was actually, it's a bit of a two-edged sword because I was actually hoping that there might be a bit more of a saving in there. But things like ambulances, we use Wilson Medic 1, and they still have to go down there. And because we're jamming it into 1 day, they're finishing too late to come home. So it's effectively exactly the same cost because they're down there for the same amount of time as if we'd finished the event lunchtime the next day. So things like that and fire and all that sort of stuff, the overheads are just still there. And in all reality, things aren't getting any cheaper to hire. Like, the cost for hiring toilets is just nuts. So it's actually quite tricky, unfortunately. And we were hoping to make it a little bit more cost effective, but mate, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and no offence, but we've still got to put food on our tables too.
Yeah,
Might be able to have
100%.
butter with our bread and water soon, but we'll see.
Yeah. Motorsport is a balancing act as well, and putting on events is the other side that the competitors and the fans don't always think about or don't take into account. The promoters incurred costs as well. So no, we certainly appreciate what the team, what you guys are doing, and that's why we thought we'd get you on again and just give us an update, because motorsport in Australia, we've had some pretty good news of recently. I caught up with James McDonald of Shannon's as well, and we've got a release there of Motorsport Australia calendar, which has been extended by the look of it in the next couple of days as well, with another 2 events. Mm-hmm. So all these things are starting to come back to fruition. So I think it's some great news.
And there's so much planning going on behind the scenes. So, Motorsport Australia released their return to race plan. And part of that is a whole stack of policies, procedures, checklists around COVID-19. Every time I go on there, there's something new in relation to COVID-19. So just as something as simple as their disclaimers and the official sign-on sheets, they've all now got a COVID-19 clause in them. We're doing stuff slightly differently with scrutiny, with documentation. We have to have a COVID-19 venue in inverted commas. And there's so much work going on behind the scenes with that. We've got a gravel event on the 18th of July, which will be sort of the first, I guess, post-COVID rally. So hopefully everything will all be nice and hunky-dory there, and we'll be able to sort of take the learnings from that and put it into, I guess, Targa Southwest's plan as well. But there's so much going on behind the scenes, particularly over East, because they're sort of a bit of a step ahead of us. They're getting some bigger events off the ground. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. I think there's something either this weekend or next weekend. It's got the Bates brothers entered in it. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. But some for the good. I think it'll actually be beneficial. Some of the stuff they're putting into place, if we can keep it in place afterwards, I think it'll actually streamline a lot of documentation, a lot of drivers briefing stuff. I think it'll actually be quite positive.
Yeah.
If it all pans out the way we're planning on it.
Sure. Targa Bunbury, can you elaborate a little bit there? That's right in December, so that's still...
Look, again, heading down the path of pretty much the same as what we had planned. So I guess the main change that we're looking at there is a Saturday afternoon into evening event.
Yep.
We actually did that for two reasons. Primarily to, again, try and minimise the time away for people so they could, if they wanted to, travel down Saturday morning. But the second was we were a little bit concerned about how hot it might be. So by sort of moving it into the sort of mid-afternoon into evening, hopefully it'll actually be quite a good event. The feedback on that time change has been absolutely phenomenal. I haven't heard anyone complain about it, and they're all suggesting it's a good idea. So if it actually works out as well as what we expect it to, I think it might be something that we'll actually do going forward. We're also planning, it'll be the last event of the Targa Cup. So it'll be the last event of the actual Shannon's Rally Sprint Series. And obviously the awards for the GT Fabrication Bunbury Sprint as well. So there'll be a threefold presentation at that event. So hopefully, with the easing of restrictions further, we'll actually be able to have a bit of a barbecue and a few quiet drinks and to actually celebrate all the various winners of those three different championships.
That sounds great.
Excellent. Yeah.
Out of all of this, isn't it funny? Like, I think motorsports, not just motorsports, but all sports, we might learn something, not just learn something, but try something new this year and think, you know what, that's a great idea. We should continue doing that. And I think new traditions will be born out of COVID-19. I really do.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's given people the reason to challenge, I guess, the way they've done things. And it's also given people the time to actually do that. To be honest, we've been pretty much going ahead as if all of the events were going on. So we've still been, working, behind the scenes as we normally do. So we sort of haven't had the luxury of having as much time off, I guess, for want of a better word. But it has forced us and a lot of other events to actually really look at what they're doing and work out what's important, what does work, paring the events back to what the competitor wants rather than putting all the fluff around it, and really sort of reviewing everything. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a really positive thing. Some of the things that we're hearing from Motorsport Australia in sort of the documentation side of things, what they're planning with their online entry systems and their online systems as a whole, very positive. Yeah. So, and again, because they've had time to do it. Yeah. So if anything, coming out of COVID so quickly means that we haven't been able to do exactly what we wanted to do because we're going back into running events. Yeah. But look, I think in fairness, whether you like them or don't like them, I know people don't like McGowan because he got rid of Rally Australia, blah, blah, blah. But, and I'm personally not a Labor voter, but, I think he's done a pretty good job at keeping his hand on the helm over what we've had to go through over the last few months. And likewise with ScoMo, I think we've done a pretty good job.
I think we're all in agreement there, no doubt about it. We all come from different sides of the political fence, but when it came to COVID-19, I think our government in Western Australia, I think this is about the fourth podcast in a row I've said this, but handled it really well, and same with the federal government as well, so certainly no complaints. So, David, have you got any other news for us before we finish up here, or
I guess the main two takeaways were, Targa Southwest, we're back on board, ready to go. Today, I've uploaded the supplementary regulations. I've updated all the information on the site with all the current COVID information. The entry form's been updated to reflect the discounted or the lower entry fees. And then on Targa West, just the guys from All Forward Day. It's if we can get away with Langley Park, it's going to be a fantastic day. And obviously, being in October, it won't be half full of water, which will be a first for many years. But it'll be fantastic to see all of the Fords out there. As well as the celebration of motorsport, the Shannon's Classics on the Swan, and obviously the Targa City Sprint, all going on at the same time. It'll actually be a brilliant day as long as, hopefully by that stage, COVID's under control and we can get a heap of spectators down there.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe moving forward, this is the future for All Forward Day as well. And, there's no reason why it can't be. I know that the agreement they have with Bassendean Oval's been a great one, and they've done really well there. But who knows? I sincerely hope that moving forward that becomes a permanent fixture as well.
I think they move it around every couple of years, apparently. They mentioned that they've been up to York a couple of times, and as you say, Bassendean. And for some reason, when we first started talking to City of Perth, someone said it was the Mustang Club. So we just thought it was Mustangs. And then when we found out it was the Orford, they were, this is actually going to be quite good. So especially Langley Park in October, I reckon they'll have a pretty good turnout. And I'd be surprised if they don't get sort of 500 cars there. If we've got another 500 on Celebration of Motorsport and another 200 or 300 on Shannon's Classics on the Swan, I think it'll actually be a lot of Langley Park will be full up, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, mark us down for 4 cars, that is.
A BA. The
BA. Actually, make us down for 5 then.
We'll try to be competing for sure, so we'll put him down for...
All right, so go back to 4 then, just 4.
4, and Troy's car competing, Have you got a co-driver, Troy, or...?
Working on it.
I heard a no. So, we were talking about, what was her name again? Some ex-supercar driver.
Renee.
That's it,
Renee.
Yeah.
Renee Gracie.
I wouldn't get anything done, I don't think. So,
all right, guys.
I'm about to say, before we let you go, Dave, what's the actual dates we're looking at? And I mean, do we have some actual physical dates that we're looking at for these events, or...
Yeah.
Put you on the spot now, aren't I?
Yeah. Oh, you have. Look.
We spoke about them last 3 episodes.
Well, I know, but still, people forget.
You forget.
20 seconds to the 20. Yeah, I know. Throw yourself in that one.
No. So Targa Southwest is the 8th of August.
Yep.
So we moved Targa Southwest to the old Targa West date. So Targa Southwest is the 8th of August. Targa West is the 22nd to the 25th of October. And then the Targa Bunbury Sprint is in December, from memory, the 5th. Let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure it's, haven't even gone that far out. Targa Bunbury Sprint, 5th of December. So that'll...
Does that fit in with your calendar, Todd?
I was going to say, you should have cleared those dates already, Todd.
Yeah, oh, well.
What were you guys thinking? What?
Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot we were supposed to run them past you. You haven't you haven't got a hairdresser's appointment or something on any of those days?
Yeah, I'm washing my hair on one of those days, So
just quietly, you're the same as me. It won't take long.
Yeah. No, it's getting a bit,
Oh dear. So so 8th of August, 22nd to 25th of October, and then the 5th of December. And subject to the discussions which you guys have already had a bit of a chat about what's happening down at the Motorplex, then touch wood, we'll be back into the rally sprint season and the summer autocross season down there as well.
Sounds
awesome.
Good. We're looking forward to it. We are looking forward to it. Hey, David, look, thanks for your time once again. Thanks for coming on. Pass on our regards to Ross. Hopefully he's feeling better soon. And, just shout out, or we'll catch up with you in a few weeks' time when we get a bit more of an update and what's happening in the world of Targa.
No worries at all, guys. Thanks for your time.
No worries.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
See you, Dave.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome back to the Talk and Power podcast, episode 87. Thanks for David Smith for joining us. Unfortunately, Ross wasn't feeling the best, so he had to miss that interview. But lots happening over there in the Targa world as well. So, up until 6 weeks ago, it was pretty down and out, weren't we? We were all sort of looking around at each other. We thought, geez, are we going to be able to put a podcast together, and will we have enough material? In the space of sort of 4 to 6 weeks, we've gone full circle, so which is really, really great news, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm excited. All right, 3 from TNP.
3 from TNP.
All right, our 3 from TNP this week was pick a car from the noughties. So that's from 2000 to 2009. any country that will become or has already become a future collector's item. So I don't know, Todd, did you want to go first on this one?
Oh, no, I'll go second because I want to see what Simon's going for.
I'm gonna go with the Ferrari 599 GTB, released in 2006. In my opinion, a Ferrari needs to be V12 and it needs to be front engined. This mid-engine thing's great for going around a racetrack, but it's not where Ferrari 250 GTO is the quintessential Ferrari, and I believe that the 599 GTB really had that essence. It culminated in 2009, right at the end of the noughties, with the 599 XX, which was debuted at the Geneva Motor Show. It was capable of going 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in under 3 seconds and held the lap record at Nürburgring for that year at 58.16. And as far as I'm concerned, that car was a classic even before the first one rolled off the lot.
Yeah.
And also 720 brake horsepower at 9,000 galloping RPM.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
Top that one, boys.
No, I think you've got us snookered there, but I'm going to go value for money. I'm going to go value for money here, and I'll give you some honourable mentions. The TE50, that's a bit of a diamond in the rough.
Yeah,
I think I just vomited in my mouth.
they're $30,000. No, they're $30,000 these days. Yeah, $30,000 for an AU TE50.
About the same price as Monaro.
It was an honourable mention.
You know, Nick, Ford Edsels are expensive now too. Just saying.
And I also said, would the Porsche Cayenne be from 2002? Would that be part of the discussion?
You know what?
As well?
I read that in the notes. Right? And I actually felt ill. I had to sit down and...
Hear me out here. It was it was groundbreaking in the day. It really was. It was like their foray into SUVs, and it's what kept in many of these companies alive was the SUV. I don't
because
know,
there's a lot of idiots with money out there. That's why.
Okay,
it's just
anyway.
Ferrari building SUVs and Rolls Royce and
Lamborghini.
Lamborghini. No, see, Lamborghini's different because they had their version of the Hummer for the Italian army. So it kind of like, I'm not really offended by them building it. But that Porsche, it's not only slow, it's ugly as well. And, when you talk about a classic like the 599, for example, that's a car that's gone up in value and will continue to go up in value. I had a quick look tonight on Gumtree, and I think it's fitting that you can buy a Porsche on Gumtree. I think that really fits in to the whole thing there, So you can buy a second-hand toilet or a Porsche. So I could pick one up for $13,000, right? That proves that it is not a classic and really should never be spoken of again on this show.
That may become a future. Maybe. I said maybe. Anyway, my final choice wasn't. I said, would it be part of the discussion? Was the Porsche. My final choice was, and I think you're going to mock this one too, to be honest, the Audi R8, the first generation Type 42, released in 2006, V8 version. You can get those in Australia for under $100,000, and I personally think that they are going to go. I think they've come down enough. I reckon they will start going back up again soon.
I think that is a great car. I think that it's great value for money as well. I think the sad part about that car is that it is now, I don't think it's sad for the Audi. I think it's good for the Audi R8, but it's sad for Lamborghini that the Gallardo is basically an Audi R8 that someone ran over with a steamroller and put a Lamborghini badge on. So it is great value for money. They are an awesome car. They're an incredible car. And basically all your bolt-ons, your twin turbo kits and so on and so forth that fit on the Lambo fit because it is exactly the same car underneath, same engine, same transmission,
Mm.
same suspension, quirky styling in the same vogue as the TT.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd have to agree. I reckon that's not a bad pick there, Nick. It's that's a good one. But please don't ever talk about pregnant Porsches again on this show ever, or for that matter. You know, the annoying part is there was already an SUV for people that had too much money. It was called a Range Rover. It's still available now. You can buy one. You can go to Barbagallo's, and you have to go well dressed. They're in stock, as far as I know, and they're a great car. They're an absolute built by a company that has always built SUVs. So why these other guys are just trying to cash in, but they're not the real thing. Let's face it. BMW X3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. You know, Rolls Royce, whatever. You know, their Range Rover is still the one. That's the one.
Fair enough.
There you go.
Fair enough. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Todd, your turn.
Todd,
Yeah,
your
watch me get shot down now. All right. So, firstly, some honourable mentions. E39 M5, and I'm appealing to the Simon BMW fan. Like, they're big, but they were one of the first M series that stuck in my mind. Like, and they're
That's really tragic.
See,
because the original M3 is arguably, you know, any BMW purist is going to go, you know, I mean, the fact that they did what they did and put a big 4-cylinder in there is the first thing that was, I mean, that was groundbreaking. And the car won a lot of races too, not just here, but in Europe.
Yeah.
We had the JPS cars over here.
Yeah.
Remember, Nick?
I
You
do.
probably weren't born yet, Todd, but
I do.
so
I think Todd.
why that one? Why not like a
Because I like the big V8. Like, you know,
fair enough. No, fair call. I'll play that.
Like, and to me, I was about to say, arguably, also, it was the first time the V8 went into an M series.
Yeah.
Then they started chopping doors off them and putting the V8. So again, but a future classic because a lot of people don't look at them. Like, that's the actual potential. Like, not many people. Everyone wants an M3 or wants a later model M5. One of these, you grab them. Okay, it's an old BMW, but hey, you've got something that in a few years people are going to go, oh, what have I got here? But as I said, honourable mention.
Funnily enough, I think it's the same motor that's in the Range Rover.
Oh, there you go. So the other honourable mention was the Volkswagen Golf R32, which was when they jammed a 6-cylinder in the Golf. Now,
you know what? I'll pay that one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Everyone's gone bananas about GTIs, right? And I must admit, I only looked at buying a GTI once. Honestly, there's too many of them. Like, GTIs for the last 15 years, they come in
What about Commodores?
They come in tartan, no tartan. They come in black, red, blue, green, blue, like, then they come in leather, no leather. Then they come in front-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. You can get 1.4 diesel. Like, there's too many of them. Whereas the R32, it was a 6-cylinder. I've actually driven one recently, and always was a bit funny about them, and was like, you know what? These are an awesome bit of kit. Again, well...
Yeah, but you know what, Todd? The GDI, the four-wheel drive GDI, we've had a couple of customers that have had them tuned. I think there's somewhere in Balcata that specialises in them. And they're a 12-second car.
Yeah, but that's the later model. Like, I'm talking... Like, this is, you know, just sneaks in to the sort of early noughties, bordering on 2010, 2011. That's what we're, you know, that's all the early noughties.
So is this your pick, or that's the honourable mention?
Well, that was actually an honourable mention, but you know what? I'm going to stick by this one now.
Come on.
Pick.
Come on, Todd. Come on.
Give us your pick. Don't be like that.
My honourable mention was the sort of 04 through to 06 WRX. But WRX STI. Because again...
Is that a bug eye?
No, they call it the blog eye. Well, blob eye.
One after the bug eye.
The one after.
One after.
Because I was about to say, they had...
Because there's been a lot of debate about whether the bug eye or the AU is the ugliest car ever made.
Well, that's the thing. Subaru had it right with the MY99, MY2000, the old school shape we all know and love. Then they went and made it heavier, slower, and gave it a stupid set of headlights. And no one bought them. Like, you can buy them for $8,000. You can buy an STI for $10,000 because no one wants them, right? Then the model after, they went, oh, hang on, we've done something wrong here. Bit of weight pulled out of it again, up the power a bit, and to me, they're a good bang for buck, again, because a lot of people want the later model with the 2.5 and the 6-speed and all the rest. So again, a future classic because you can get them at the right price. A lot of them haven't actually been thrashed or rallied into bloody trees. And you've got yourself something pretty decent there. So
I must admit that is probably one of my favourite WRXs, that particular one. It is a much smarter looking WRX.
Yeah, and again, another thing is after that as well, the Hawkeye, then the whatever they call it, something Ugly Betty or something, I can't remember. They get bigger and fatter and slower again. And so that's my pick.
Can I just get back to Renee? Can we just get back, just briefly?
I'm sure that's something you've been wanting to do for a while.
Just walk away, Renee. Come on.
Very good, Todd. Just getting back to Renee. In all seriousness, all jokes aside, her material, to my knowledge, is not accessible by minors or anyone underage. So I have no issue with what she's doing. I thought it was a golden opportunity for V8 supercars to really, their statement, this is what supercars is aware, there was no pun intended there, but anyway, supercars is aware of the article regarding former Super 2 driver Renee Gracie. As Miss Gracie is no longer competing in Super 2, supercars will not be commenting any further. So by saying that, you're actually making a comment. You're suggesting that making that comment, you're actually making, by saying you're not making a comment, you're actually making a comment. All I'd like to say is that I think it's a good opportunity missed here, especially this year at Bathurst, where we're looking at, it may be hard to get Bathurst together. I would have thought that the opportunity was there to get Renee back into a V8 supercar, especially when we're looking down at having Super 2s in the field. Getting her back into a car and running some sort of promotion. Now, what she does is not available to, as I said, to minors and to people underage. It's all subscription. So I don't have an issue with it, and I think to bring eyes to the sport is what we need. That's just my...
If I may.
Of course you may. Of course you may.
Oh, wow.
As we have seen in my 30-odd year career of motor racing, the focus has been to turn motor racing from a bloke's thing into a family-friendly environment.
Yep.
And I think that this is would be counterintuitive to go down that path. As far as getting more people to go to the track, it would probably work, and it would probably expose, pardon pun, motorsports to a new following. But you got to understand that the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Really well.
Actually, I've got a statement I want to share with you guys. It comes from my days working for Paul Fennick in Fat Pizza, and it was a slogan that I came up with for the crew as a bit of a pick me up when we were feeling down. After we'd done a 60-hour day, which was fairly common in those days, and it's this, and it goes like this: we the willing, being the crew willing to do anything. We the willing, led by the unknowing, have been doing so much with so little for so long that we are now capable of doing anything with nothing.
I think I've heard that before. In fact, or maybe it was from you, actually.
It probably was.
Yes. No, I agree wholeheartedly. But anyway, look, that's the purpose of the podcast: is get different views across, and that's my view, that's your view, Todd's view. There you go. Hey, we need to take a break. We'll be back right after this. We're going to cover off a couple of podcasts ago. We spoke about the top 10 list of Australian drag races in Competition Plus. We're going to go through number 5 to number 1. So we'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back to the Talk and Power podcast, episode 87. If you're just tuning in, go back and have a listen to the interview with David Smith, and also don't miss the 3 from TNP, where I am bollocked for choosing a Porsche Cayenne. It was an honourable mention. I don't know if I should do honourable mentions anymore.
Please don't ever mention that car again.
Honourable mention.
Any SUV made by a manufacturer that normally makes good cars.
Hey,
guys, you got a hallway as your background. What's
a what? What's in the background?
Oh, trust me, some people
Todd's
know it from.
Oh, Todd, what are you doing? What's that from?
From the movie The Shining.
Is it? I was going to say, and Nick, you mentioned the top 10 list. I thought you were going to talk about the radial top 10 list there. I got excited.
No, I'm going to talk about a couple of podcasts ago. We discussed spots 10 down to 6 of the Competition Plus, a website we all love and we head to, www.competitionplus.com. They compiled a list of the top 10 drag races in Australia of all time. So we discussed 10 down to 6 a couple of podcasts ago. I'm going to go through them again. Number 10 was Dave Grubnick. Number 9 was Richie Crampton. Number 8 was Kelly Betts. Number 7, Victor Bray, and number 6, Peter Ridgway. We had a bit of conjecture about the Peter Ridgway one. We felt that there might have been some other pro stock races that were probably in a position to be in that spot. Anyway, not to take anything away from Peter Ridgway. I think the world of him. I want to go through the top 5. So number 5, Eddie Thomas. No doubt part of the discussion there. I've got to be honest with you, the top 4 could have been in any order and no one would dispute. No one would dispute the order. So number 4, Graham Cowan. Number 3, John Zapier. Number 2, Jim Reed. Number 1, Gary Phillips. You could put that top 4 in any order and really there's no argument. So
was that around about what we kind of agreed to when? Yeah,
I believe that you said, I think you disclosed basically 4 of those top 5. So, no, most certainly. Gary Phillips, I think you had it number 1, and that's how in championships 1, there's really no other number 1.
Yeah, definitely. Top alcohol, he basically owned top alcohol for, a very, very long time and still to a certain degree does now. So, that's great. Great to see Zap up there as well.
Zap was in number 3. Yeah, number 3, and that is great for John Zappy, I think. And I was actually surprised Graham Cowan, number 4, probably would have had him in at number. Again, it's hard to put those top 4 into a different order.
Jim Reed did do a lot of good for the sport, as well as did a lot of good on the track. Sydney Raceway really. He was pretty instrumental in that coming about. Obviously, there was Jeff Crisp and other people involved as well, but. He's on track and the whole Winfield Top Fuel Series, etc. I can understand why he's positioned where he is on that list. I think they did a good job of that.
Yep. So if you want to read about that, head to www.competitionplus.com. Just scroll through the news there and you'll be able to see that list. Otherwise, I'll share it on our Facebook page as well, and you can have a look at it there. Head to our Facebook page. Now, Simon, I wanted to talk to you about MotoGP. MotoGP, unfortunately, the Australian Grand Prix has MotoGP have withdrawn from that. Just wanted to know what your thoughts on that were. I mean, there's not a lot that, in fairness to them, there's not a lot that can probably be done, but yeah.
No, I think it's a huge tragedy, but like you said, there's not really much they can do about it. As long as we fight to get the event back on track once we have a vaccine or at least COVID is under control, because it is a huge event. I would argue that it's probably our best motorsport event at this point in time. People would say that the Melbourne Grand Prix is, but I mean, MotoGP, you bring so many classes out here. You don't just bring the Formula One guys. It's not just the MotoGP guys. You've got the Moto2, the Moto3 guys, and it is incredible how relaxed and cool the atmosphere is on Phillip Island, and how you can rub shoulders with these guys. These guys that, to a lot of people, including myself, are heroes. When you look at the ridiculousness of the safety in motorsport now, if you brought out a class like motorcycle racing tomorrow, there is no way in the world that it would be allowed. No chance, right? You got these Formula One cars that have got double pluggers on them now, at some attempt to protect the driver, and then you put a guy on a 300 horsepower machine that weighs like 100 kilos with nothing other than a bit of leather and a helmet. It's the craziest. Absolute craziest thing. And then when you go to a track like Phillip Island, that's the only one that I've been able to go to and is, relatively accessible to most Australians in terms of cost and actual ability to get there. And you walk around that track and have a look at things like the ripple strips, the whole thing just goes to the next level. It's just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So I look forward to seeing it again in 2021. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it'll be great. I mean, look, we all like David and yourself alluded to earlier. There's been some changes. There's going to be some good things that are going to come out of this. There's going to be some time that was lost. It's a sad thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Most certainly. Speaking of MotoGP, Quartararo replacing Rossi on the factory Yamaha. I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts on that one as well.
Yeah, we've spoken about this a couple of times. I was pretty devastated when I heard it, but I mean, when do you get out of motorsport?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When do you call it quits? I mean, we're going to see some interesting things with this. If Quartararo really shines, then it's going to sort of be stating what a lot of people have been thinking for a while. That Rossi's it's time for him to move on. But if he doesn't, then it's going to question whether the Yamaha factory team is as good as the satellite team. Yeah, because we always make that assumption that the factory team is better, but we've seen it with V8 supercars, or not with the supercars, but with the touring cars. Back in the day, the big bangers, the Group C cars, and during the transition to the Group A series and onwards, we did see some privateer teams beat the factory teams. Larry Perkins is one that springs to mind. Yeah, and there's a few more that I can't think of it on the top of my head now. But Gracie, yep. So, and even if you guys recall Peter Brock in the Onga Tirana, that was a big one. That was a big deal because he effectively got sacked from HDT, and they won Bathurst as a privateer team. I mean that's a pretty big deal, man, because HDT, say what you like, they definitely had the biggest budgets. Yeah.
Anyway, just some interesting news there. And I just want to touch off on Formula One as well, just give you a calendar update. Since we last spoke, there is a calendar update to Formula One. So we are officially kicking off on the 5th of July from Austria, the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Round 2 will also be at the same venue the week later, so the 12th of July. And then we head off a week later to Hungary. That'll be the 19th of July. Then the British Grand Prix, the 31st of July. And then the 70th anniversary of Formula One will also be at Silverstone the week after. So we've got a double header in Silverstone as well. Looking forward to that. Then we head to Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix, Catalunya. That's the week after Silverstone. And then it's off to Spa. That's a 2-week gap there, Belgium Grand Prix. And round 8, that's all we're going up to for the time being. That will be a week after Spa in Monza. So that is an 8-round calendar that Formula One have released, and hopefully we can get away and we can get some racing underway. Don't sound too excited, guys. Todd, are you even actually here? Like, are you? It's like you're looking at something.
It's my virtual presence. No, I'm here.
Okay.
He's checking out Renee's website.
He's subscribed to Renee's
He's
website.
subscribed. Didn't you see him pull his credit card out before?
All right. Hey, we need to take a break, and we'll be back. We'll close the show right after this. We've got lots to talk about still, so we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Talk and Power podcast, episode 87. We're transmitting on 88.5 FM as well. Shout out to Rob, and he gave away 88 toilet rolls on the weekend. Our friend Rob, Midnight Bob.
88 or 88 and a half?
He actually go away 88 and a half, and a card of Corona as well. So Midnight Bob, thanks for that. Unfortunately, we were unable to get there, but doing a great job, Midnight Bob. And you can catch Midnight Bob every night on 88.5 FM. There's some great tunes. So make sure you tune in. And also tune in to Jimmy Will Rock You. He's on Thursday, late afternoon as well. So anyway, what have you guys been working on? I know, Simon, you've been pretty busy with all sorts of things. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on the work you're doing on one particular car?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Lance Karapetkov and the guys at the Swan Shire. We managed to get some building extensions all done. Lance took care of the approvals, and a few of the guys from work chipped in there. Kind of the business is expanding. We want to be able to do more in house. We need some paint preparation areas and so on. Basically, the main reason that we were sort of in a rush to get that all done and approved is we're at that stage with Andy's Mercedes. So we got that in some primer over the weekend. So that's getting close to putting some colour on and getting the assembly done. A little bit of work on the Camry, just obviously, we want to go a lot more horsepower in the future. So, trying to get a few things. I got some bits around at High Speed Engineering, getting made up so we can beef the transmission up a little bit. Haven't had a chance to do anything with the motor yet. The BA, I've sort of got it to where we can start pulling the motor out, freshen it up, and been working on a way of controlling the power, like better power management. Obviously, if we had the opportunity to run on a radial track like they have for the meetings at Willowbank or at Sydney, we wouldn't need to worry about it as much, because I think that those types of track, will handle the power that we're making. But because the Motorplex is usually prepped for slicks at the National Opens, and that's the only events that we can run the BA in, I have to find a way of managing the power better. And unfortunately, as you guys have seen, even if I leave in top gear with 0 degrees of timing, it still blows the tyres off. So I've got some stuff going on there. Aside from that, I'll tell you what I have been getting into. I've been getting into reruns of Street Outlaws. Oh, yeah. And I've got to tell you what, I watched the Cash Days episode, and, mate, hats off to Kai Kelly. I felt like I was watching us back in the day running the Datsun when he Scholastic and Vice Script the top half of the intake manifold back on.
I think I see that.
That was-
episode, actually.
yeah.
That was the most awesome thing. Like, you know, that show you got to take, you know, sort of tongue in cheek and with a dash of salt, because obviously I can't believe that they race on, you know, roads. It's obviously some sort of controlled environment, regardless of the prep. I mean, sometimes I look at how much rubber's down and how much glue's down, and I think, man, that doesn't look any different to the Motorplex. So, but you know, to pull that off, to celastic the intake manifold back on, right? You know, that was like, dude, that's not going to work. But then to clamp it with vice grips, that was next level, boys. That was like, you know, I had goosebumps watching that. It was.
Yeah, no, it's look. I mean, it's a good bit of fun on a Thursday night to watch a bit of Street Outlaws. I have no issues, and I've got the DVD set as well. So I would be lying if I said that I don't regularly watch that as well.
Do you watch the Memphis one?
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I don't mind. it,
Oh.
actually. Yeah, I know you don't like him.
GG
Yeah, no, I don't mind. it. He's all right.
I dig it. The only thing I don't dig is the arm drop.
Yeah,
You know, because I'm very much
well.
you know, I'm a guy that likes definitive things. You know, I'm not into open-ended stuff or you know, stuff that's left for ridicule. So I saw Big Chief in a recent episode red light someone because the tyre wound up before the light come on.
Yeah.
And I replayed it frame by frame and thought, yeah, the tyre did wind up, but the car didn't actually move. You know, now at the drags, as anyone that's raced knows, you know, if you wait for the green, it's too late. In fact, Andy Cales released a book not long ago called "Don't Wait for the Green." It's quoting me, right? So yeah, I thought that was a bit harsh, but nonetheless, it is what it is. I guess the idea is that you saw the light before you let go of the trans brake button. But that arm drop deal, you know, like I at first I didn't really like that JJ the Boss guy, but he's grown on me, and you know, the whole deal, you know, I think it's but you know, the one thing that disappoints me about all the Street Outlaws shows,
What's that?
not enough blown cars. Not enough screw-blown Hemi cars in particular.
Yeah.
There does seem to be a massive shortfall of those sort of vehicles, isn't there?
That Reaper Camaro, I think that's a pretty serious bit of gear. It's a 767. I think he's got 3 kits on it. That looks like, you know, it's probably a low 4-second deal. But and obviously when Daddy Dave had his drivetrain in the Corvette, that looked pretty cool.
Oh yeah. That was awesome.
But yeah, I don't think there's too many. I don't think any of them are 3-second cars anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think.
The guy Disco Dean, I don't know where he's from, Texas maybe. Disco Dean, he's got a blown deal, but I don't think it's screw. I'm pretty sure he's roots.
There was an episode. There was an episode where I can't remember which ones, but there was a screw-blown big block Chev. It wasn't a PSI. I think it was an old R980 Whipple on a big block Chev and a Studebaker. And he just could not hook it up. It was nasty to watch. Like it just was blowing the tires off crazy.
Yeah.
And then in that same episode, there was a dude with a 1471 blown, looked like a 481X or something like that in a Camaro. And that looked fast. Like that looked scary fast. Like, you know, 3-second potential. But yeah, I mean, there seems to be this big bias. When they do have a blown car, it's some pusser with a 671 and 2 carbies on it. You're going, dude, like, seriously? You know what I mean? It's true, bud. I mean, you know.
Well, they all run those Pro Charger deals, which they they go, oh, it's a supercharger, but
Nah,
it's
look,
that fine
I
line.
got nothing against the Pro Chargers. I reckon,
Yeah.
especially for that type of racing, they're a good deal because the way the power ramps on, that's the thing. We like anyone that's in my position that's got like a screw blower, and you're trying to, because with the radial deal, you need to control that power for that first, probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 tenths of a second.
Yeah.
You just can't do that because they don't boost ramp like a turbo car, and you haven't got a gate that you can just open and bleed boost out. My thing goes from 0 to like 47 pounds of boost, from idle in a few tenths of a second. You know what I mean? And if you leave on the two-step, it's already got over 40 pounds boost. The Pro Charger deal is not a bad deal. Like I think for that type of racing and for radial racing, and no prep especially, I think it's not a bad deal. The nitrous deal and turbo deal, I think, are very adaptable because what those guys tend to do is they'll leave on one kit or leave on the motor and then bring one kit on, and then they'll have the buttons on the steering wheel. And I know it's a little bit, Fast and the Furious in concept, but if you think about it, if you only need to beat the guy, you don't need to drag him down the track. So if you're out in front and he starts to get the edge like a turbo car starts coming on, you just bang another kit. But they often crash when they do that. I believe that Daddy Dave may have had that happen to him, and I think there's another guy that's crashed, activating a second or third kit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I've been doing. I like I said, I kind of like that guy now. I just don't like the arm drop. That's speculative launching there, speculative red lights.
Chase is the ace as well. I'm not a big fan of Chase is the ace, but anyway.
Yeah.
Chase is a race.
Chase is a race. Sorry, not Chase the ace. That's what
Chase is a race. I think that's fair because if the other guy goes way red and you're dumb enough to run him down, because see, I'm the type of dude that would chase anyway because I want to run you down. I want to run you down and make at the end, at the finish line, I want to go, dude, you left even before he lifted his arms, and I still beat your ass. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that. I think that if you've got the car to do it, and the ball to go for it, then why not? But I just think the light is a fairer way of. And those guys, they don't mess around. Hey, if you're late on the tree, forget it. It's all over. What about you guys? What have you guys been doing?
Todd, you go.
I finally managed to get some money for a car I sold about 6 months ago. That's
the
story.
MR2.
Yeah. So that's officially, with its new owner. It's not too far away from me, but it's with its new owner. Yeah, and then I put some stuff up for sale on Gumtree about probably 6 months ago as well. And just on the weekend just gone, had people ring me up, didn't even haggle me on the price. Went, still got it for sale. I've got some cash. See you later. Like, no, nothing. They just... So I had a pretty good weekend, actually. It was actually like, oh, wow, I've got rid of some stuff. There's a car gone. So consequently, there's a set of coilovers on order for the Evo right now.
Beautiful.
And
what did you get?
I am going teens after all that.
Oh, yeah?
I thought you were
going to get some XYZs.
Nah. I was going to get some MCAs, which are Australian made. But I got offered a deal on some teens I couldn't say no to.
Cool.
From Japland. So, yeah. And then, I'll be doing that over the next few months. And, actually aiming for one of the Targa events. I don't think I'll make Targa Southwest, which sucks. I really want to make that one. But I just don't think I will. More so a roll cage. I don't think I'll have the cage in time and in the car. And, Yeah, and then I even got some work done on my 180. I sent my 180 SX. And Simon, I need to come and see you because we need to talk about something.
Okay.
Ooh, Jesus.
I had an idea the other day. Some stuff again. Some stuff fell on my lap, and now there's a bit of a crazy idea going on. So
Okay.
I'll
I'm
come
interested.
and talk
You've
to
got
you.
my attention. Now, the
Yeah.
big question is, have you done the rear main on the Falcon, Nick?
No, I took it back. When we had the storm here, I took it back home to Mum and Dad's house. So,
Oh,
yeah, no, I haven't done that. No.
when's the barra going in?
No barrier going in that.
Oh, my God. The discussions that have been had about that car and what to do to it and how to do it.
And here it is. No, the car will remain stock standard. I just got to sort that remain, but I've got to get it back here. It's too hard to do it at Mum and Dad's house. But yeah, with that storm arriving, I thought the front of the car was a little bit exposed, so I thought I'll get it back home, and I haven't brought it back here. So, and we're going to be test driving some new cars very soon on the podcast. We're going to bring a new car review, so that's exciting. Looking forward to that as well. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to. That's about it, really, guys. Anything else to add?
I don't know. I'd like to add some stuff, but I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. Actually, I got a little bit of news. I've got an email in front of me, hence I'm sort of looking off screen.
You're looking off screen the whole night.
Well, anyway, sorry. Hey,
ReneeGracie.com.
Oh, mate. No, the name freaks me out, but that's people that know me know why. Anyway, we'll keep that. Waterloo Sporting Car Club have announced that they are going to be running an event on June 19th, the first race meet. They're going to try and limit spectators, which, sorry, Waterloo, won't be a problem. But they are trying.
That was a bit harsh, mate.
Hey, I'll be there, though. I'll be there, but we have to have our social distancing, and to be fair, you actually have to be a member to be allowed in, which is not a bad idea. They are planning on running the V8 Supercar round on the 30th of October and the 1st of November. At current, the spectators that will be allowed will be paid members. They may open up more spectators at a later date.
And media as well.
Yeah. So, but they're actually, this email I've got, they're actually kind of asking who's going to turn up because they have to, at the moment, still comply to spreading the crowd out, But that's good news. It's good news that, again, Wanneroo can start some racing. I know a lot of guys that had built cars for this year that, they missed out on a good 8 weeks worth of racing. So, yeah.
I think that end of October period is going to be extremely busy for us. We're going to have Targa West, obviously, on the 22nd to the 25th of October, and then we're going to have the Supercar round right on the last weekend of October. So I think we're in for a big October. We're going to finish off October we're going to be quite busy, no doubt.
I can't find ReneeGracie.com. I think you're lying to me.
No, I just made that up. But
I'll send you a video later, Simon. Anyway, what? Let's just say I was actually she's breaking the supercar rule book with some modifications. That's all.
Subscribe. Go to our website www.talkandpower.com.au.
We get some signed Renee Gracie posters.
Yeah, we've promoted her quite heavily tonight. We shouldn't we, really?
Should reach out to her, Nick.
I'm going to. I'm a big Renee Gracie fan. So subscribe. Get to the website, subscribe, give us your email address. We will not bombard you. It's roughly once a week or once a month we do a newsletter, and once a week we do a
hang on a second, guys. Hang on a second.
Oh no, here we go.
Oh, and one other thing I want to plug. This is a community service announcement for our listeners on the radio. It's a winter period. Check your tyres. We're heading into winter. We are in winter now. The roads are wet. Check your tyres. Check your tyre pressure. Most passenger cars run at that 30 to 40 PSI mark. Check your wipers. Throw some water on the windscreen. If it's a dry day, make sure your wipers are able to remove all the water off the screen and not leave debris and dirt behind. Also, important to check your wiper fluid. It's not hard to do. Pop your hood. It's a white bottle. It's got a yellow cap on there, and it shows a pretty picture of windscreen wipers on there. That's the bottle. Fill that up with water and just a little bit, about this much, Morning Fresh. Whatever you're washing.
Yeah, you don't need to use the Morning Fresh. Just make
I
sure
do.
your blades and your water. And as far as your tyre pressures go, there is a placard. It's usually on the driver's door or on the driver's door sill. It'll be written there what to set the pressures at. That is the manufacturer's recommendation. And yeah, please be careful, particularly on those first rains. We're in the clear now, but we're going to have a bit of a dry patch now for a few days. And when you get that first rain, it brings the oil up. You know, when you go over the pits and they tell you got to fix that oil leak, the reason is because that oil sits at the traffic lights on the ground. And then when we get that first rain and you're approaching those traffic lights and you go to brake, you hit that oil and you slide through and hit the car that's coming the other way. And it ends very badly for everyone involved.
It does. And there's been a number of road traffic accidents in Western Australia recently that were not good. And we've had a number of fatalities on WA roads. The other thing I want to point out is the West Aussie Wave. It's an initiative by the state government and 7 West Media. For goodness sake, just wave. If you like, you let someone in front, give them a wave. Or someone lets you in the lane, wave.
Give them a wave. Yep. That's it. And if you accidentally cut someone off and you didn't mean it, just sorry, mate. Sorry, it's all good. Bit of a wave
it's so
there.
Simple. As a lot of people know, I spend a lot of time on the roads in the country. When you get east of sort of Meckering, north of Mora, south of sort of Bustleton, that way, most people give you the wave, especially in the wheat belt. You just drive it, you give them a wave. You're just going the other way. It's just
courtesy. It's courtesy. It's what it is, and it keeps you awake. You know. Now, don't try it with kangaroos because you might think they're being rude when they don't wave back.
Yeah.
And if you are doing any country driving, seeing as our border restrictions have, been dropped somewhat, just keep your eye open for roos too. This time of the year, they're pretty unpredictable. They will head for the bitumen because it's warmer than the bush quite often, particularly around dusk and dawn.
Most certainly. Definitely. Yeah. They're on the move this time of the year. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, you've got to be really careful. All right, guys. Well, look, that's it. If there's anything else you guys want to add, now's the time. Otherwise, we'll bring this one to a close. All good?
I'm just looking forward to some motor racing resuming at the Motorplex. So the sooner that happens, the better. Yeah,
most certainly. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you in a couple of weeks' time for episode 88. All right, guys. Thanks for that.
See you, Nick. See you, Todd.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.